Today I'm extremely grateful for Wizards of the Coast allowing me early access to Wilds of Eldraine, so here's my favourite deck I experimented with using mice, rabbits and thopters to rack up wins very quickly. Hey everyone, Hex here, and with Wilds of Eldraine out next week on Arena, I'm playing some new standard today looking to utilise adventure cards in a slightly different way. I'm super excited for Wilds of Eldraine, so if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button below to not miss out on next week's combos and decks, and feel free to let me know if you have any synergies you want to see when Wilds of Eldraine goes live. But onto this deck, and I'm going to be using Pia Nalaar, Consul of Revival with adventure cards to go over the top with some hasty thopters. Essentially, Pia says that when you play a land or cast a spell from Exile, you get a 1/1 hasty thopter. As adventure cards cast from the adventure zone are coming in from Exile, we're going to get the thopters when those are played. Pair this with cheap spells and you can win in no time. So the best adventure card to play with Pia is definitely Pollen-Shield Hare. Getting it in Exile is no problem, as for just 1 green mana you can play Hair Raising to give target creature vigilance and +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the amount of creatures you control. The big payoff though is casting it from Exile as a 2/2 rabbit that gives all creature tokens +1/+1, so essentially your new Thopter is now a 2/2 with haste. Other adventure cards we're using are Cheeky House Mouse. It's just a 2/1 mouse, but for just 1 white, its adventure says target creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn and can't be blocked by creatures with power 3 or greater this turn. This is the perfect card for quickly creating a Thopter and hopefully making Pia unblockable for a turn. We have Questing Druids too. Again, cheap cards, but this one has a lot of synergy in this deck especially. Its adventure spell, Seek the Beast, is a 2 mana instant that exiles the top 2 cards of your library, and until your next end step, you can play those cards. This puts even more Pia fodder into Exile, and hopefully you can see how explosive we can really get in this deck. Lastly, I've got Heartflame Duelist. It straight up does 3 damage to any target, which may be all you need, and as an instant is a nice touch. Its creature side is cheap and gives your spells a lifelink too, which can be very useful later on in the game. Other ways to exile cards include Wrenn's Resolves and Reckless Impulses. The same cards basically, they allow you to put the top 2 cards of your library into exile and you get to play those cards until the end of your next turn. Other win cons could include the Monastery Swiftspears, which pair well with all the spells we're running, and I even found space in this deck for Regal Bunnycorn. Its power and toughness are equal to the number of non-land permanents you control, so this can straight up win in no time, especially if we can make it unblockable. Lastly, we have Kumanos and Play with Fires to help squeeze out small increments of damage and turn on the Swiftspears. And then we've got 23 lands, which is plenty here, and that's the deck. So the meta is always a bit strange in early access and everyone's trying out new things, but I had heaps of fun playing this deck and I highly recommend it. It was quite challenging to play at first, as there are so many decisions to make to fully maximize your turns, but I guess that would come with practice. It does make it more interesting though, and I'm sure there are many other versions you could make using Pia as a thopter machine here. Let me know your favorite cards in Wilds of Eldraine, as I can't wait to start making more videos next week, as we have loads of shiny new cards and some real fun ones too. Alright, on the play, really nice hand here, as we have our Pia Nalaar and some payoffs. Pain lands though are not great for us, but hopefully we can kill them before we die ourselves. Play the Swiftspear, knock our opponent down to 19. They play a Swamp, and Gumdrop Poisoner creates a food, so obviously probably a food deck we're up against. I think we're just going to attack with the Swiftspear. Could play Pia Nalaar here, but Questing Druid has an instant Seek the Beast, exiles the top 2 cards of a library, gets to play them next turn. I think I'm going to want to do that, and I'm glad we didn't play Pia because the opponent has just got a removal spell with Witch's Vanity, so hopefully we find a nice, a couple of... I was hoping for a land in exile there, to be honest. We'll play... Thing is, we're going to lose our these spells we've got in exile, and a couple of them are pretty nice. If I play Pia Nalaar, we play maybe the Pollen-Shield Hare, we're going to get a... Or we'll play Play with Fire, we're going to get a Thopter. Or do we just slightly play differently here? We'll play the Hare, we'll just hit our opponent down to 16. So I'd love to have played those with Pia Nalaar on the battlefield, but didn't want to really waste this Pollen-Shield Hare. It's one of our better cards. Opponent had a removal. Fair enough. So I think we'll just play the Pia Nalaar now. And say go. We've obviously got another one in our hand. They've already played 2 removal spells, so fingers crossed they don't have another. They got a whole ton of food though. And it is, you draw a card, you lose a life. Fair enough. With the Mosswood Dread Knight. I will, if I remember, pop that card on the screen. When it dies, you may cast it from your graveyard as an adventure until your next turn. Alright, that's a pretty cool card. I think we'll let them do that. But we can clear the boards, so hopefully we can get some damage through here. There's a cheeky house mouse, which is pretty nice. But I think first thing we'll do is play the Pollen-Shield Hare as the hair raising. We'll play the Squeak By. Then we'll play the Hare from Exile. It's going to create a 2-2, and then we can get in there with Pia Nalaar and the 2-2, pop them down to 9. And then we've got a couple of more thopters to make next turn. Even if they kill our Pia Nalaar, we have another one. So ideally next turn, probably an untapped land if they want to destroy our Pia Nalaar. But they might want to also try and find a way to get rid of this Pollen-Shield Hare. So I'm pretty happy with our decisions we've made in this this game. They do have food though, which is going to keep them in the game for a bit longer. I guess the food is going to be a real problem against decks like Mono Red. Each player sacrifices 2 creatures. Rankl's Prank. Okay. Well, we'll get rid of the Flyer and the Pia Nalaar. Okay, tap land unfortunately, but yeah, we're here just to do as much damage as we can. We'll play the Questing Druid. Make another Thopter. Get in there, pop them down to 5. Okay. So they're hanging in there. Gruff Triplets, alright. Look at that, that's 3 3/3s. If one dies, it's I think the other triplets get boosted. But we'll cycle our Jetmir's Garden there. We'll play the other cheeky house mouse, or we'll play cheeky house mouse, and we will attack with the Flyers. Don't quite have lethal, unfortunately, but we've got them down to 1. Cut down our Pia Nalaar, fair enough. Must have just drawn that. So they have 9 life here. Yeah, and they're going to cash in these food tokens. And they are going to rumble. Surely, though, surely we just take the damage and then turn sideways for 10 damage. Alright, we got there. Nice. Alright, on the play here, we have a very aggressive deck again, or hand again, with the Play with Fire, Swiftspear, and Kumano. Opponent with Golgari, it looks like. So I think we'll just do what we've been doing all along. Let's get in as much damage as we can, knock them down to 17 with the Kumano and Swiftspear. Do have our cheeky house mouse in our deck, and Witch's Vanity is going to destroy a target creature opponent controls with mana 2 or less. So I guess we'll just play this Bunnycorn now as it comes down with a counter on it. Here's a 3/3, so it's out of cut down range. And we'll say go. And it is Elvish Archivist, so this is an 0/1. When an artifact enters the battlefield, it gets +2/+2 when an enchantment enters the battlefield. I believe you scry, but I'll get the card up on the screen. I'm going to kill it anyway. So it looks like the opponent's on a food deck with the Dockside Chef. But let's get aggressive again and play the Swiftspear and play Hair Raising. And I guess we can also play Squeak By, the sorcery side of the House Mouse. Means the etching can't be blocked. Opponent's going to take it all. They go down to 4. So very aggressive for us on turn 3. The Dockside Chef now has a roll attached to it and a Wicked Roll. And there's a Wormlet and Tough Cookie. Tough Cookie's a cool card. It's one of my favourite cards actually in this set. It's basically just a food, but it can turn non-land artifacts into 3/3s. Opponent with Annihilating Glare. And finally we get to see Pia Nalaar. So is there a way we can win the game this turn? Well, we'll certainly be playing Pia Nalaar. And playing the House Mouse from Exile is going to create a Thopter with haste. And I guess we just have the lowly attack here of the 1 Thopter. Pollen-Shield Hare next turn is great because it is going to create a Thopter and also give all our tokens +1/+1. So technically it's going to create a 2/2 Thopter with haste. Alright, opponent does go up to 6. Obviously they're a food deck, so they're going to be gaining food. We do have Boseiju, so we can actually take out Sojinja if we need to. I guess this does force the opponent to... Well, they're going to get a land, so they can use their food now. But they're going to be blocking. So they go up to 9. Maybe I should have held that back. We'll just knock our opponent down with the 2/2s. And I don't really want to lose my creatures. I'll review that later to see if there was a better way we could have done that turn, but... Opponent is going to sacrifice an artifact, a creature, draw a card. Had a Wicked Roll on us, so... knocks us down a life total, and Wormlet is getting big here, but surely they're going to die. Boseiju to take care of one of our 2/2s. We get a land. We'll just get rid of our Jetmir's Garden. And this should absolutely do it for us. Questing Druid, so we'll play the Seek the Beast side. Totally pressed the wrong button there. I was meant to play Seek the Beast and then the other side from Exile, which would have grabbed us another 2/2 fly, but we had the win anyway. Alright, on the play. Pretty aggressive hand here. And we've got a couple of new cards, so liking this. Question is, do we play the Kumano now, or the Swiftspear now? And then play this tap land later. I think we'll go with the tap land. Get it out of the way. Opponent with a Argoth, so you've got to suspect it's going to be a mono green deck. But we'll just get in there with the Swiftspear, followed up by the Kumano, and hit the opponent for 2. Put them down to 17. We do have our Pollen-Shield Hare in our hands with Hair Raising, sorcery that gives +X/+X till end of turn, where X is the amount of creatures you have, and Vigilance. So I think we'll drop our Bunny Corn here as it comes down as a 3/3 with a counter on it. And I guess we just get aggro by casting Hair Raising on our Swiftspear, popping the opponent down to 13. And it's Bramble Familiar. Kumano flips. So we can get in there for a little bit. I think we'll play the Wrenn's Resolve now. We should have probably held that Boseiju to play a land from Exile. And we are going to give our Etchin Hair Raising again. Hit the opponent. They're going to go down to 6. They had to... Well, they didn't have to block, but they didn't want to go to 1. So we're definitely on the beat down here, and they just scoop it up. Nice. Alright, on the draw here. So first time we've actually had Pia in our opening hand, so we'll definitely be keeping this. One thing I've learned about this deck is it's not the easiest deck to play when you've got Exile effects, to make sure you do things in the correct order to maximize your damage. So hopefully we can see what we can do here. Opponent with a Gruul deck and Atomical Honor Guard. Okay, it is a 3-1 with Ward 2. So I don't really necessarily want to play all my creatures into opponent's removal spells. So I think we'll drop Kumano here and try and set ourselves up next turn to play Pia Nalaar with a counter on it. Opponent also on the Naya deck. And it is search your library for an aura or equipment card, put it into your hand and shuffle. Alright, Cullen the Feyblood and Birthright Boon. So really not sure what they're doing. So it's going to be interesting to see what they find here. Like, is there an equipment I should be worried about? Oh, it's Audacity. Alright, so they're going to be on the beatdown here a little bit. I guess the Honor Guard with Ward 2 is pretty nice. We can't actually shoot it. Alright, so the question is, if we just play Pia, are we going to die or are we going to be looking at chump in? What is the opponent going to have in their deck? I feel like we could die if we're not careful. The Duelist does 3 damage to any target, it has Ward 2, so we can just hit it with our Play with Fire. We are going to miss a trigger on the Kumano as our next creature. It comes in with a +1 counter. I think I'm just going to play Pia Nalaar. It is a 3-4. And we'll see where we go with this. Just going to target it with Pollen-Shield Hare to get a card into exile for the moment. Play with Fire wasn't really doing much in our hand. We're not going to block unless we absolutely need to. There's Cullen, that's a 2-2, so other creatures you control get +1/+0 for each aura and equipment attached to Cullen. Alright, so this is just a straight up 5 damage. We find a tap land. So I guess we can play the Hare from Exile, which is going to create a 2-2. And then we have Play with Fire to deal with Cullen. I'll just take it out now so we can get some attacks in. I don't want to go crazy, but I feel like we need to get the beat down as quick as possible. So if the opponent has a removal spell and maybe another Audacity, we're in trouble. It's an Archivist. And there was another Audacity. It is a 7-1. Just going to block, get this out of the way. We go down to 5, but at least that's off the board. They draw a couple of cards. And yeah, see what we can do this turn. So we've got instant speed, 3 damage to target opponent or to any target. But we'll play our Wrenn's Resolve here. And we have a Questing Druid. Just going to play it straight up as its creature side, which is going to create another Thopter. And we're on 5 life. I guess we just need to be slightly wary of the opponent having a way to kill us, so we're going to play it slightly safe. Royal Treatment to give it a Royal Roll. And knock him down to 6. So we, like I said, we've got 3 damage instant speed in our hand, and playing the Duelist from Exile next turn is going to create another Thopter, so unless they can gain some life, we should be good if Pia is still on the battlefield. And I guess the Sundown Pass is also going to create another Thopter. There's Hammer Hand, so target creature can't block this turn. And what else do they have? So the Questing Druid is probably going to block if they want to attack. And playing a Disruption on our Pia Nalaar. I guess that just means it can't attack, but it's still going to create Thopters. Another Honor Guard. and they do attack. Just the 1 mana open. I really don't know what tricks they could have. But let's take a risk. Didn't die, and we should have lethal in the air because we do have the 3 thopters and Heartflame Duelist. So unless they can gain life, we should be good here. Maybe should have played the Swiftspear first. Get some more damage through. Opponent is going to block our 1/1. And Royal Treatment to give their creature hexproof, create a Royal token. But yeah, we have them dead anyway. So definitely should have played the Swiftspear there first, just to ensure that we did win, but we had the victory anyway. Alright, forgot to click record, but no problems. Opponent looks like they mulliganed, and we've got a pretty mono-red style hand here, but we'll just see how this one goes. We'll play our Kumano. Opponent with a swamp and a mountain. So I'm not really sure what the meta's like in these early access events. They did play a Tangled Colony, which is a 3/2 rat that when it dies you create, I think it's X 1/1 rats where the X is the amount of damage dealt to it. So I don't really want to play with Fire It. We'll just see what they do and take a bit of damage, see where we go with this. Our hand is not looking too great. But it is what it is. And they find another mountain. And Nezumi Informant. Alright, so when it enters the battlefield, each opponent discards a card. So they are on a rat deck. Rat tribal deck. I guess we'll just get rid of the forest here, the Karplusan Forests. We don't actually need a second green source. Probably should have waited for the Kumano there to flip into a creature before we take out their 3/2, but so be it. We'll just drop a Swiftspear here. And do we want to get a whole ton of damage through now, or I think we can just wait and we can just hit the opponent here with both our creatures and hold play with fire. In case the opponent plays anything we need to shoot down, we're in no major rush. And Raging Battle Mouse, so the second spell you cast each turn costs 1 less. And it has Celebration. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if 2 or more non-land permanents enter this turn, a creature gets a +1/+1. Well, I think we'll just pop off that rat there as the opponent played another Tangled Colony. Oh, Regal Bunnycorn. Finally got a new card, so it is a Rabbit Unicorn that's power and toughness equal to the amount of creatures we have. This was a great deck to try and squeeze this card into. So the Tangled Colony can't block, as most rats can't, which is a major downside to the rat deck. Gnawing Crescendo gives everything, what, +2/+0 into end of turn, and this is 6, 11, 12, 13, 14 damage. We can take that. We go down to 2, and yeah, we can just whack our opponent for lethal. So not the perfect representation of our deck then, but we'll take the victory.